I'm Sonali Diddi, and I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Design and Merchandising. The fashion industry has been unsustainable for quite a long time, and it is unsustainable because it has both the environmental piece, performance piece to it, as well as the social sustainability piece to it. Environmentally, it is the second most damaging or polluting industry in the world. Second to oil, and these are research reports globally, so it's not something which we've made up, but it is the second most polluting industry. It is also unsustainable primarily because the amount of greenhouse gas emissions which are emitted because of the apparel production, transportation. Imagine a shirt coming from China to United States. It takes a huge shipping and production cost involved in it, burning of fossil fuels, and not forgetting the waste management issues, because more and more the consumerist countries, examples would be United States or some of the European countries, where consumption or consumerism is catching up more and more. A lot of waste is created, and clothes are not built to be, they're not built from a high quality perspective. They're more so low quality, where people just want to wear it 4 or 5 times and then trash it. So it also creates a huge landfill problem, or even in terms of degradation, environmental degradation perspective. And socially, why? Because every shirt or every cloth we wear is produced by a human being. I mean, you cannot think of a t-shirt being just produced by robots. So, and apparel or the textiles and clothing industry is very, from a social point of view, is unsustainable, because most of our clothes are outsourced in terms of manufacturing, where we have low wage countries. We don't have very safe working conditions for workers in those countries. So it kind of creates this whole domino effect of, we want low pricing here in the United States, but then it is just like 2 or 3 cents is what the workers are getting. So it has both social and environmental piece to it, and that's why the fashion industry is very unsustainable. One of the primary concerns and rising trends within the United States has been buying fast fashion. And what do I mean by fast fashion? It is, think of it as a fast food. So fast food is something which we are just getting more and more. Fast fashion is also very similar. It is cheap. It's become more of a disposable clothing, because it is cheap. You get a $5 shirt and you don't have any attachment to it. You wear it for 4 or 5 times instead of taking care of it, which you would generally do. You just toss it. Maybe you donate it, maybe you trash it, but everything which is donated does not go to somebody in the world. So most often, it is, research shows that only 20% of what you donated goes on the selling floor, and rest, about 70%, is trashed in the landfill. Maybe 10% is exported, but that's about it. So something which you could do to be more sustainable is to invest in clothes for high quality. So think of clothes as an investment. Instead of buying a cheap $5 or $8 clothes, buy for $20, $25, where you would be more, it might remain for 100 washes. So you take better care of your clothes, buy better quality clothes, not engage too much in fast fashion. And with fast fashion, yes, you are trendy, you want to fit in the society, but then there is always a carbon footprint to that choice of yours. I would suggest that instead of, I mean, it's just become cheap for the last 5 years, but before that, jeans would still be about 50 or even $40. But then when you had a $40 denim, you would wear it for at least 5 years or 2 years or 3 years, longer time. Now jeans are like $10, and you tend to have more jeans in a month or 2 months, and you just feel like buying a jeans because it is cheap. So my suggestion is, yes, it is costly, and again, taking it from an investment perspective, invest in a quality clothing, versus a cheaper version. Maybe you're spending $100. Let's say an average student, we did a study on campus to see what's the average money which students spend on clothing per month, and it is anywhere between $50 to $200. So depending on how their preferences are. So if somebody is spending $200, I would say maybe you just invest in a piece which would last you for at least next 5 years. So for a person who are people, the other way which you could do is also engage in secondhand clothing stores or buy from secondhand clothing stores. Again, finding those good pieces within those secondhand clothing stores, or even swapping with your friends and family, which helps you increase the life cycle of your clothes. But again, in the first place, not to buy fast fashion, because even if it was fast fashion in which you're handing it down to somebody else, it's not going to last for a long time, because it's just not does not have the quality to stay for a longer time. So whenever you take pieces or swap pieces, see to it that it's not fast fashion. Frankly, I would say all clothing is recyclable in some ways. It is just about how you dispose them off, and not things. One of landfill, like in the Denver landfill, every 6 months we put around approximately 90,000 pounds of denim, and that's just in Denver landfill. Uh, Down in Larimer County landfill, we are putting around 4,000 tons of textiles. So this is just Larimer County landfill. Now, both of all these clothes are mostly recyclable, and that is one of the ways of you can either make it into something different, maybe like a t-shirt moving into a bag, kind of an upcycling. Second would be handing it down to people you know, and again, coming back to our first thing is investing in better pieces so that they last longer. Other ways of recycling would be, let me think. Handing it down, giving it to secondhand stores only if they're good quality pieces, versus just because you have to clear your closet. I know some brands are collecting your old clothes to give you a coupon, which again is a little, I would say, on a thin line of saying, okay, come to our store, give your old clothes, and we'll give you a coupon to buy new clothes. So you're again engaging in a fast fashion, so don't fall for that recycling strategy. But know where to recycle your clothes properly, I guess. So a lot of times people don't know and they do trash it. So not trashing is the first way of removing it from the landfill. There, the industry, recycling industry, is going more and more less in terms of its scope, because it's easier for them to give $300 and put it in the landfill than to think about what can be done. So there would be more technological innovations going forward about what can we do with this denim, maybe denim insulation, which is already there, but it is more of a supply chain issue. So maybe working with your own family and friends to create awareness of not throwing clothes and passing it down to your friends and family and swapping them, recycling to make different uses of the same clothing. Something else which we are promoting is find your local quilt maker association, and that's where you could donate some of your good pieces if you wanted to. So those are some of the ways you can help not putting the clothes in the trash. That don't get sold, we still haven't looked at that supply chain, and our working hypothesis is most of them would get sold. But then if it doesn't get sold, maybe they send it to some developing or newly developing countries. But again, it's the same thing, that once you get these clothes, which you can wear only 4, 5, or 8 times, and then they're going to end up again in a landfill. So we don't know as yet what happens to the clothes which are not sold. But a general supply chain of any company would be, first it would be on a full price, then it is marked down, then there is a last markdown about 73 or 76%. And once that is done, all of these outlets have something known as last store or last clearance, where it's not going to go beyond that price. So maybe you get a shirt for $1, And but those stores are completely different format. They're not like your regular outlet stores or your regular retail stores. So they're like your last clearance stores, and maybe they're more in the bigger cities than smaller cities. So that would be one of the ways that they're trying to get rid of clothes which are not sold. I don't have any, because when I go, I have cut down on my shopping so much after the uh, from last 3 years, that unless I really need to buy something, I don't go and buy. And I would just see about the quality, looking, checking your seams. That could be one of your other ways of how students buy your clothing, is check inside out. If you think that the seams, your side seams are unraveling, they're not finished properly, that would be one of the ways of saying, oh, it's going to go off very soon. So I generally just go and find a piece when I know I need to buy. Like, I have two pairs of jeans. Until I know that they're going to go off, I'm going to just wear those and go for Levi's kind of jeans, which are more responsible in their supply chains, which are working towards, like, one denim pant takes about 1,800 gallons of water to produce. And Levi's has taken a step forward in saying, okay, can we make a jean in or a denim pant in 900 gallons of water? So their new product, Levi's 501 jeans, is waterless, and they are promoting to consumers directly and saying you don't have to wash your denim as much as you do. So I think that's a big step forward. So I generally tend to support companies who are getting that, taking that step forward. Not face jackets or denim pants, which I know are going to last longer, or they're responsible in some way or not. I would say consumers are not aware of the carbon footprint that clothing has. And primarily it is because when you think about organic food, we think it is good for you and that's why you consume. But when we think about clothing, it just doesn't resonate with people that it must be having a carbon footprint. But every time you decide to wash your clothes, every time you decide to dry your clothes in the electric drying machines, every time you decide to buy a cloth, all of these are increasing your own carbon footprint. So if you are thinking about being environmental in some ways, I would say transfer that or translate that attitude even to your clothes. So think twice before you buy, before you take care of your clothes. Look at your care labels. That is one of the primary things which we tell, is look at your care labels and say, do I take care of my clothes the way the care label says? So because that increases the life cycle of your garment. So I think taking care, buying less, buying better is what I would promote further.